as a new day begins on Oak Island.
I want to clean this side out a little bit, see if we can pick things up.
Archaeologist Laird Niven, along with geologist Terry Matheson and heavy equipment operator Billy Gerhardt, are continuing to excavate the area inside the so-called U-shaped structure. A structure they believe could have been built centuries ago.
Whoa, interesting. Looks like a post sticking straight up.
Yeah, it is.
Laird, take a quick look. Billy just clipped what looks like perhaps a post sticking straight up. It's pretty vertical. What do you figure?
So actually, that's a third piece of wood.
It starts to become kind of an interesting looking, something more than just a plank or two, maybe a structure.
Planks of wood buried within the U-shaped structure? Could they be a previously undiscovered part of this ancient formation? Or could the team have just found an entirely new structure at Smith's Cove?
I think it may be wise just to leave it and let Rick take a look at it.
That's probably a good point. We could dig around it a bit, try to, but no heavy-duty stuff, maybe. Whoa, yeah. This is it here. We got something going on here.
Yeah, you can see the top of...
Gently, we're gonna see what we can see here. Looks like timber's on edge.
It's not 1-inch planks, like it's
No.
thick enough to be a wall.
It's an odd construction.
Very odd.
They're offset.
Looks like it's built for strength.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Pretty big and pretty interesting.
Heads up, guys.
What do you got?
We don't know.
We started right down here, and then the next thing is, hold it now, what's this?
Wow, that's pretty cool.
You know, quite a significant wall.
A wooden wall buried at Smith's Cove? But if so, who built it? And for what purpose?
How deep do these go? Any idea?
We're not sure yet. It's possible they're trying to hold back water from entering the flood tunnels.
It makes you wonder what you're gonna find back there a little ways.
But this definitely isn't on any map.
No, this is a new find. This is totally undiscovered.
So we're finding these walls that nobody else has ever found, which, in a sense, is a piece of evidence that perhaps it could be original because somebody doing it originally would have been scrupulous about clearing up evidence. And we're gonna dig it up and see what it is.
Hey, what are we looking at? You tell me. The wooden wall.
That's well built.
Oh yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Well, a little bit of blue clay on
Oh no, there was a lot. They scraped it away.
Here. See this here?
It looks like stacked rocks.
There were rocks down there. Yeah.
Are we starting to get into the French drain?
A French drain?
This is packed with stones right here, and just next to it was, virgin soil.
2 years ago, while searching for evidence of the box drains at Smith's Cove, the team discovered layers of rounded stones forming what they believe to be a French drain, an ancient irrigation system used to control and direct the flow of water.
I'm gonna put you on the spot now. Man-made?
I believe so, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Could these stones be another part of a French drain system constructed centuries ago at Smith's Cove? And if so, could it mean the team is closer than ever to finding one of Oak Island's legendary flood tunnels?
Really, what we should just go at this real light, Laird, and just see if this really is something.
For Rick, Marty, and their team, the discovery of another French drain at Smith's Cove could prove to be their biggest breakthrough in the 12 years since they began searching for treasure on Oak Island. But as the Laginas and their partners continue to follow the flood system further and deeper down into the money pit, where will it lead them? To a treasure vault filled with gold and jewels? Or will they discover that as they get closer to solving a 223-year-old mystery, the island will fight harder than ever to protect its buried secrets?
Oh, wow, the excavation's really coming along.
Yeah.
Doug Kroll and Charles Barkhouse head to Smith's Cove to drain the newly excavated area surrounding the U-shaped structure, which has filled in overnight.
To me, since there's no other structure around it, I think this was an attempt to try to block off the drains.
Well, if this is the coffer dam to close in those 5 finger drains, that's almost dead center.
I know.
I'm gonna have to get that pump lower once it goes down a little bit.
Well, I got boots on here, I can get in.
Charles, you see that? Look between those 2 rocks. There's an opening there.
There is some water coming out of there.
Well, that's what that 1863 Yarmouth Herald article said. It said it was 2 flat rocks laid together like that, like almost like a triangle. That's curious.
That is curious.
A triangle-shaped opening? The same shape used to describe the stone box drains in 1863?
That looks like the apex of an opening right there to me.
It does. We get this down a little bit more, maybe we can get in here and take a look at that.
Hey, Rick.
Hey.
Hey.
Over in this wall here, there's 2 stones, 2 flat rocks laid together like a triangle.
Hard to imagine Mother Nature laid those stones like that. Have you seen water come out of there?
Yeah, there's been a steady trickle of water down through that whole area.
You can see it right here over on this side, coming right down the other side of that rock.
To me, it looks like it's a box drain.
Yeah. It's hard not to get excited.
Absolutely.
If that's a flood drain, what we might find is signs that the rocks were worked to make them fit.
Yeah. I think what we need to do then is maybe slowly, gently wash that, at least preliminarily.
All right.
If this is a feature that was once constructed to allow water to pass from Smith's Cove to the depths in the money pit, it'd be more than huge. It'd be the aha moment.
Hey, what's this? Doug, is this coconut fiber? I just pulled it out of right here. There's a whole bunch of it right in here. Like a level of it.
Coconut fiber? When the box drains were first discovered in 1850, treasure hunters from the Truro Company reported finding the stone structure covered by layers of coconut fiber, which served as a filter to prevent debris and sediment from clogging the flood tunnels. Because coconut fiber was also found in the various layers of the original money pit, and considering that the nearest coconut tree is more than 1,500 miles from Nova Scotia, researchers have speculated that it was originally brought to Oak Island as packing material in the cargo of the numerous ships that made their way into Mahone Bay.
That 1863 account, it said that the rocks that formed the drain were packed in coconut fiber. So if you're finding coconut fiber at that level, that's really curious too.
It is curious. Lots of water.
Yeah, definitely coming
There's
out.
water coming out of that.
Does that alignment look natural to you, Laird?
No, it actually does look strange. Yeah. And this certainly is not a glacial rock. You could ask Terry, but...
In your opinion, all the work you've done, all the digging you've done in the general locale, does this look normal to you?
It's a substantial conglomeration of boulders with very little matrix between them. If somebody was trying to build a drain, this is the type of construction you might see. But you know, the proof will be, you know, as we move back, as we follow it back, it'll turn into something. You know, we should see a pattern then of that type of thing going upward.
Right. It seems to be going this way.
That's followed. Not only do you have this description in the newspaper, which we now see in front of us, but we have this gate, which aligns with the U-shaped structure, which aligns with this construct, this stone formation. That can't be a coincidence. We have to proceed very cautiously, very slowly, very disciplined, because the last thing we need to do is to be highly disruptive in an area that we now find so compelling and intriguing.
Try taking those boulders out. I think it ends right here. It seems to end. Yep.
It is an exciting time on Oak Island.
That's the end of it right there.
As Rick Lagina, Craig Tester, and geologist Terry Matheson continue to unearth new and possibly important wooden structures at Smith's Cove. Structures that might help them solve a 223-year-old treasure mystery once and for all.
Think that's the bottom of it?
No. This one here, these ones go much deeper. Do you see how it's laid back, though?
Yeah, it's all tilted this way.
Did you see that? Right there, see the opening?
Yeah.
2 days ago, the team uncovered what could be a piece of a stone box drain, one of 5 that are believed to feed seawater into the money pit, thus protecting it from would-be treasure hunters. But today, while continuing their careful excavation of the area, Rick and the team were stunned to find yet another mysterious wooden structure.
Looks like we have something there, Rick.
No idea how deep that is, huh?
Got no feel for it yet.
I mean, you wouldn't think it'd just be one single wall. Either there's another wall here, or there's one over there. Like,
It had a structure like that, didn't it?
yeah,
What
more
was it?
like an L.
An L, so is that
This
probably...
wall, and then headed straight for the U-shaped structure.
Yeah.
This is the L-shaped structure here, right like that.
The L-shaped structure? In the early 1970s, while conducting his own extensive investigation of Smith's Cove, veteran treasure hunter Dan Blankenship built a 400-foot wide cofferdam made of earth and large boulders. After pumping the cove dry and beginning to excavate it, Dan uncovered not only the massive U-shaped wooden structure, but also a second formation running parallel to it. Made of wood and small stones, the unusual 50-foot-long feature appeared to be laid out in the shape of an L. However, before Dan could fully expose the so-called L-shaped structure, a massive storm washed the cofferdam away, forcing the operation to be halted indefinitely. Could the wooden structure the team has just unearthed be connected to the L-shaped structure in some way?
Does anybody have a clue on the use of the L-shaped structure or what it might have been?
No.
We're not sure.
Not at all. Just another structure we know nothing about. Whoever did this went to a lot of work. I'm wondering, as we expose it, was it an abortive attempt? Was it just too much work for the result that they were attaining? This is going to be a very interesting enterprise, trying to figure out what the L-shaped structure represents.
Oh, look at that. Oh, look at like it might be packed, doesn't it?
A lot of clay up against it, looks like.
It looks like they might have packed clay. Look at that.
It's not the good stuff, though. It's quite granular.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of rock in it, too. They might have just used what they had on hand.
You know, if they drove it into the sand and then took rocks up against it.
Sure seems that way because, I mean, it's an inordinate amount of rock.
Looks like they tried to pack it. Similar construction.
That is a lot of clay.
It's definitely a clay-rich till.
You know, if one of the searchers felt they were outside of the old cofferdam and it was mainly sand, they drove it into sand a little bit, then start...
But to what end, Craig? It's an open-ended structure. It's not connected to anything. If this is some sort of water prevention system or water infiltration prevention, then why couldn't the water have just come around that end or this one?
I don't know. I agree.
The more work we put into this, the more and more questions there are.
Yeah.
U-shaped structure, Billy's Wall, now we have this. We were hoping to get answers down here. I was. Welcome to Oak Island. Let's keep digging. Get the pump started down here and get it dewatered.
Looks like they might be already going.
Alex Lagina joins his uncle Rick at Smith's Cove. where efforts to expose the newly discovered L-shaped structure are well underway.
As we proceed to uncovering the L-shaped structure, we're hopeful that we'll come to an understanding of what it represents, why it was put in place. But right now, we know nothing about it.
What about the question of age? I mean, is there anything other than, obviously we can do a couple things with the wood.
Yes.
Is there any other way to figure out how old this thing is?
This construction technique is unique. The use of pegs, perhaps that gives us a clue. The lack of iron fasteners is
it's weird.
It's really
Gary
weird.
and I were talking about that,
I
too.
would have thought they'd be all over this.
So this, really what you're saying, though, is that this is unique. This is not something you'd find anywhere else.
Yeah. No, archaeologically, I don't think anyone in Nova Scotia has seen this. No.
Hold up.
Billy, there's a timber right there.
You want to dig that down a little bit then, Bill? There's another beam right there.
Right here? That's odd.
There's another piece.
There is another piece there?
Yeah.
Have Rick and the team just found another possibly ancient man-made formation buried beneath Smith's Cove?
Look at all of those logs.
This is quite different from what we've encountered down there.
This could be the Hedden wharf.
In 1936, Oak Island treasure hunter Gilbert Hedden constructed a wharf at Smith's Cove in anticipation of the massive excavation he would soon begin at the Money Pit. Because the causeway that connects Oak Island to the mainland had not yet been built, Hedden needed a place for boats to safely dock and offload their cargo. While working at low tide, Hedden and his team were shocked to discover two large timbers protruding from the rocks, held together by large wooden pegs. Upon closer inspection, he also noticed what appeared to be strange markings on the logs, leading Hedden to conclude that the structure had once been used as an ancient boat slip. Unfortunately, because Hedden lacked the resources to dig below the low tide mark, he was forced to abandon his investigation. As a result, the so-called slipway hasn't been seen since.
Look at that thing.
It's huge.
Oh, yeah.
That's quite intriguing.
There's a break right here, and then it picks up again right there.
That seems deliberate. When Hedden put his wharf in, he obviously found something.
He did. Historically, Hedden built his wharf on top of something that he found.
And this is where that was?
Yes. But he never sought to determine what he was building on. So, are we standing on his construct, something he built on? From that perspective, we know very little.
Yeah.
We're confused again because there are no fasteners associated with the horizontal members of the slipway, and it's the same thing with the U-shaped structure. No metal fasteners. The slipway at this point becomes an area of significant interest.
But this is kind of right where the L-shaped structure should continue to, right? So, aren't we on path at least to intercept it?
Again, we don't know where it comes in. I would say we probably call the engineers and see if we can't dig this right to the sheet pile to see where this goes. And as this goes, see if we intercept that L-shaped structure. If this is at the same elevation as this U-shaped structure, wouldn't that imply they were built contemporaneously?
It would certainly build a strong argument for that, yeah.
But they're both on the sea horizon. That, to me, implies the same time as well.
So then all we're left with is, when was that built?
This structure is heavy, it's well built, built with large dimension lumber, and surely meant for a specific purpose. What that is, we don't have an understanding of that as of yet.
Another day begins on Oak Island. Following an urgent phone call from archaeologist Laird Niven, Rick Lagina arrives at Smith's Cove, where Laird and other members of the team have just made what they believe to be a surprising discovery.
Hey, Laird.
It's not wood.
What is?
It's concrete.
What in the world is that?
I don't know.
I mean, it's certainly unrecorded.
Yeah.
How deep does it go?
We don't know yet.
A bit of a surprise.
A bit? A bit? You want to reconfigure that?
Yeah, I would say.
A concrete wall buried some 8 feet beneath Smith's Cove?
Well, there's a way to date concrete. The Romans had concrete.
Yeah.
The Romans had concrete that would set underwater. This could easily be incredibly old.
Known for such engineering marvels as the Pantheon and the Colosseum, the ancient Romans were the first to develop and use poured concrete as far back as the 3rd century BC. By mixing volcanic ash along with other rocks and minerals, they created a unique kind of hydraulic cement, which actually hardened when exposed to seawater. It has long been theorized that this kind of advanced engineering would have been required to build the intricate system of booby-trapped flood tunnels on Oak Island.
There is absolutely no record of anything like this in Smith's Cove. So, of course, your mind goes to, finally, something we absolutely are certain is original.
I mean, it'd be very interesting if this goes through this structure or underneath it, then obviously whoever built this knew about this for sure.
Right.
If it stopped short, then this could be something entirely separate from that construction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very strange. In order to pour this is underwater.
Exactly. That's.
And then this is 3 feet below grade, and then an additional 3 feet underwater. I mean, this was not an easy build. If you'd asked me what 5 things we might find in Smith's Cove, 10 things, 20 things, this would not be one of them.
Concrete wall wasn't one of them.
Yeah. I said the only thing that would have surprised me more if it was hot pink, honest.
Well, Dan Cofferdam would be on top of this, so there's no wonder that he didn't see this or find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no mention in 1850 or 1860 or 66 of them using concrete. We need to dig inside, you know, respecting that integrity.
Yeah.
If whatever's here goes that way, then we do have to stop.
Okay.
We've got to call the engineers, give them the specs of what we're doing, and get an okay. But I think one pull through here is fine.
Yeah.
And obviously, a pull through here is fine.
Yeah.
But any closer, it's an all stop situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's kind of just scrape this and see what happens.
For Rick, Marty, and their team, the discoveries they are making suggest that the origins of the Oak Island mystery may date much earlier and be much more profound than the treasure hunters before them ever suspected. But as they continue to dig deeper, both at the Money Pit and at Smith's Cove, what will they uncover? A vault filled with sacred treasure? Ancient waterways and architecture dating back to Roman times? Or will it be evidence of something even more astounding? Something so forbidden that it had to be protected by a deadly curse?